Today, I'm going to show you how to make a month's worth of sales in a week. Maybe even this week if you play your cards right. Full transparency, I've never done a launch in my life. The Evergreen model always seemed smart to me. Imagine a regular business where the business was only open like a week, a year. It seemed really dumb. So I've always been Evergreen. The downside of Evergreen is that if you're open every day, there's no reason to buy it today versus later on. When there's no urgency, there's no reason for people to do it now. And so they typically don't. But this year we figured something out. Now, every single week is a campaign week, and we make a month's worth of sales in 7 days, 4 times a month. Today, I'm going to show you how to do it. So the good news is there's only 3 things we need to do to make this happen for you. First, we're going to design out your offer cycle. What are the campaigns we're going to run each week? We want to design that upfront. What are the offers? What are the themes? So then we can get to campaigning, which is step number 2. Second, I'm going to show you how to do the cash campaign. It's a simple 1-week long campaign that brings in a month's worth of sales by Friday. So we'll go through the 5 parts of each campaign. And then I'm going to show you how to take the assets you need for a campaign, let's say it's email, and mutate them into the socials you need and the ads you need. So emails, reels, carousels, ads, all from one piece of content creation. It's going to be super helpful. Let me just show you how we do it. And it all starts by settling a debate about which is better, Evergreen or launch. And to do that, we're going to draw. All right, so for ages, coaches have battled with this kind of dilemma. Should I Evergreen? Should I launch? There's pros and cons to both, right? Evergreen is fun because your shop's always open. Imagine a traditional business like a shop that's only open a week a year. It's kind of odd, right? You'd be like, what the hell's going wrong with these people? So Evergreen's great because the shop's always open. On the other end, there's a launch. And a launch is fun because we can create a bunch of buzz around your offer right now. We get all of the market's attention focused on it, and then we sell like crazy. So they're both good. The upside of Evergreen is always open. The downside is that there's no urgency. No reason to do it now. Most of us need a little push every now and again, right? A little bit of a, hey, here's where to do it today. So that's the ups and downs of the Evergreen model. The launch model, well, the fun part is you get this massive like spike in sales. You generate a bunch of attention and convert it into money today. The downside is it's exhausting and you can't do it every week. So every month in Black Belt, when people join us, we get people who've done this model and want a bit more velocity. And we've done this model, people who've done this model and want a little bit more easy. So the good news is you can get the best of both worlds. A model that we call the offer cycle. And we're going to design yours out today. The offer cycle is amazing because you get the always open sales every week from the Evergreen model, but you get the urgency from the launch model without it being a massive lift and burning out. That's the model. This is okay. That's okay. You do you. I like this. Let me show you how it's done. So how do you get the benefits of a launch with the weekly cadence of like an Evergreen model? Well, the trick comes down to thinking about your offers like dishes on a sushi train. Our job is to cycle the offers around week by week by week. And so how we do it is we think about an average month has 4 weeks. And so we look at the menu of different offers that we've got, and you've probably got 1 or 2, and we just put them on a rotation. And to keep it fresh, we go, what are the offers? And then secondly, what are the themes? If an average month has 4 weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4, set it up so we know in advance, what are we promoting each week? So the campaign's got to focus, and we're not trying to talk about everything all the time and nobody listens to anything. And so you've got some offers, some products to sell. So you've probably got your main program, a workshop. Maybe you've got an event you're running. Maybe you've got a specific promo. For most of our clients, if they're doing $100 million a year, they'll have one core program that they're offering, and we need different themes to package it, and then a monthly workshop. That's a pretty traditional cadence. In our world, because our business is bigger, 8 figures, not 6 figures, in the first week of the month, we will focus on Boardroom, our mastermind for people who are doing 7 or 8 figures a year. The week after that, we'll promote a workshop. The week after that, we'll open up Black Belt. And the week after that, we'd open up the client's program. If it was ready, I'm re-recording it and it's late and I apologize. Okay? But this gives us like a menu. I know that week 1, it's about Boardroom. Week 2, it's about a workshop. Week 3, it's about Black Belt. And week 4, it's either about clients or what we call Club Random, which is Taki talks about whatever he wants to talk about. But that way, I've got an offer each week. Does this make sense? And then just like a sushi train, each month, I'm focusing on those offers in that order, but in a way to talk about the same offer through a new lens. So it's fresh. Fresh for you, very importantly. Fresh for me, just as importantly, because I don't want to get bored of my stuff. If we map it to a campaign calendar, it'll look a little bit like this. Each of the 4 weeks across the month, has an offer. What's the product we're talking about? Like I just mapped out. For us, that'd be boardroom, workshop, black belt, clients. And then there's room for a theme. A theme is, what's the unique angle we're focusing on this week to highlight an element from that program? Whether you've got one product or two, I want you to know that you can wrap the product in a different offer an infinite number of different ways. And so one of the ways we do that is by focusing on a different element. If I was promoting black belt, I could talk about attract. I could talk about convert. I could talk about deliver. Even within attract, I could talk about building an audience, and that's a theme. I could talk about generating demand, and that's a theme. I could talk about leading your market, and that's a theme. You can attack the same product or promote the same product through a bunch of different lenses and package it in different ways, not just in the promo, but also in the offer itself, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Let me give you some examples. Boardroom. Recently, I had a week's worth of focus on boardroom, and the theme was on founder mojo. A lot of people get to 7 or 8 figures and they burn out and fry out because it's stale and they're in the wrong role. So that was a whole week focused on that. The product was the same, boardroom, but the theme was mojo. We ran a workshop called Salesless. In other words, how do we sell without sales calls? Then we opened up black belt, and we took the momentum that we'd had talking about Salesless for a week, and we opened up black belt for a week, and the theme was Salesless again. Like, you've heard me talk about it, you've come to the workshop, now buy the program. Clients, I can pick any offer I want, any theme I want, but it's probably about confidence as a new coach. The key idea here is that we're going to cycle through our offers week by week by week. And if you don't have 4 things to offer, you've just got like a program and maybe a workshop, well, guess what? You do the program 3 times and the workshop once, and you just pick 3 different themes for the program. It's one thing to know what am I going to promote that week. It's a very different matter to know, okay, what am I actually going to do and how do I turn this idea into a campaign that generates cash? That's where we're going now. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a cash campaign, a simple 1-week campaign that opens and closes like a launch, but without any of the stress. So you get all of the urgency, the deadline, the urgency, the limited spots, all of the attention, but with a few emails. No need for any of the tech stress. Is that cool? I think coaches have put a lot of time into creating content and nowhere near enough time on building campaigns. What's the difference? All we're going to do is we're going to take all the creativity that it takes to create content and we're going to point it at an offer that actually brings you money. These campaigns are short. They often open on a Monday and close on a Friday. I've been doing this for a while. I've got some skills and it's my favorite thing in the world to do, right? So I'm going to show you how I do it. It might be more than you need. For me, it's a week-long campaign. There's usually 6 messages which go out over email and socials and ads over the course of a week. You could pare this back for you if you're just getting started. I like Monday to Friday. If we're running a workshop that starts on Tuesday next week, sometimes it flows a little bit over the weekend and that's okay too. So I'm about to lay out exactly how we design a campaign. Very important before we do that you understand the 2 forces which will make this work or fail so you can get this right, okay? The 2 forces are super straightforward. They are supply, how much of you there is to go around, and demand, how many people want what you got. Most coaches, unfortunately, don't think about supply and demand, and they're like, oh, I can take lots and lots of people, and nobody wants them. They're completely unwanted. There's lots of supply, very little demand, and when that happens, your business is stalled. Because if you're in this situation where, hey, I've got room for 5,000 people, and there's 2 people in the room, you're not that hot a commodity. And at the other end of the spectrum is where there's lots of demand and limited supply. They're the 2 levers we can pull. And we want to artificially constrain supply and through our marketing drive up demand. And when we do that, we don't get stalled, we get sold out. And so if you think about where you are on this spectrum, and it is a spectrum, but if you think about where you are, most coaches live on the left-hand side of this spectrum. Lots of supply and almost no demand because they're not thinking about the supply constraints that you actually do have. Because the truth is you don't have unlimited supply. If 5,000 people wanted to buy your program tomorrow and you said yes, what would break first? Probably you, and then secondly, a bunch of other systems. And then your existing clients would hate you and they'd leave. And so there's an actual limit. If you couldn't take on more than 50 people this week, then there's a supply constraint. We just need to talk about it. How many people could you actually take every month or every week and be okay? For us, we cap supply at 30 per month. Why? Because that means we can do deep work, get them off to a great start, and we know that they're going to stay and they're going to win. Then there's demand. If you're on the right-hand side of this equation, it's in green, so you know it's good. If you're on the right-hand side, all we need is just enough more demand than there is supply, and you start to win. mark this out, whether you're in position 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, anywhere from 3 onwards, and you're winning. Marketing wise, if you're on the left-hand side, you're chasing. So marketing is like chasing, not fun. Sales is convincing, also not fun. Remember this quote yesterday? If you ever have to try to convince people to work with you, the quote goes, "A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still." Like if you have to push somebody to twist their arm to buy, they're probably not going to make that happy a client. On the other side of the spectrum though, if you're over here on the right-hand side, when you've got more demand than supply, you don't have to chase anymore. You get to choose, who do I want? And your offer is just a really simple, compelling argument. And they say yes, or they say no, and there's zero weirdness. I want to get you down here. To do that, we're going to limit supply and increase demand across a week. And that's where our campaign comes in. All right, so let's sketch out this campaign. If you think about the timeline of our campaign, starting, say, Monday and ending Friday, you can map this to anything you like. I like a week. It maps to whether my brain works. Come back from the weekend and it's game on. It's very fun. The campaign looks like this. It starts and it finishes. They're the two most important pieces. The open, we're just going to send a quick little hand raiser email or a hand raiser post, which is like, hey, I'm doing this thing. Would you like to join us? Doesn't need a lot of detail. I'll show you some examples in a bit, which is like, hey, this thing's happening. And now everyone goes, oh, I wonder what they're up to. I'll find out more. And then they go to the offer doc or book a call with you if that's how your program works. At the other end is the close. This is the doors are closing. And so you better get in right now. We're going to constrain supply 2 ways. Number 1, we're going to limit the number of spots, possibly depending on your offer. If you're running a workshop, we maybe don't need to limit spots. But if we're opening up a program that has some deep, intense work, that makes sense. There's a limited number of spots. Second, we can limit supply with a deadline. So it's limited number or limited time. And both of those 2 things will work great for us. In our case, the deadline is Friday. So the campaign opens, the campaign closes, and in between, we've got 4 opportunities to talk about our offer from a fresh angle, from a different perspective. So we're not saying the same thing again and again and again. This is how I like to do it. You can do it in any order you like, but I found this really helpful. First up, pain or problem. If they don't do this, they don't fix the problem, what are the symptoms they've got? How is it bad? Where does it hurt? Okay, so the image here is probably like broken bones. Ow. Right? What's the pain? Number 2, what's the proof you've got that the stuff really works? So email number 2, post number 2 will be proof. Hey, this is a person who had this problem, like we talked about yesterday. It got really good. They did these 3 things. That's what I'm going to show you how to do. Third, philosophy. What do you believe about it that most people don't? How is your take different? Our job here is to shift their beliefs from thinking about it the old way that's not as useful to a new way that's much more successful. And then fourth, the plan. What's the step 1, 2, 3? What do we do? If it's a workshop, what are we going to do in the workshop? If we're working together, what are the first few steps? If it's a long-term program, what are we going to do in the first week or month, first cycle? So this little map's an overview of what a cash campaign looks like. Let me show you how to build one. So now we know there's an open, there's a close, and there are 4 messages in between. A pain, a proof, a plan, and a philosophy. Super simple. How do we actually create this stuff? Well, here's what I do. I just get a blank sheet with my categories. I write the theme of the campaign. So let's say it was promoting black belt. The theme was salesless. I just do a quick brainstorm, 30 seconds per column. All the things I can think of that are the pains and problems. Like low show rate. The funnel has leaks in it. People aren't growing. Nobody wants a sales call. Yeah, think about that. What proof have I got? Well, tons. Me, a bunch of clients. Dean was one who popped up the other day. What's my philosophy? And then I just a couple of bullets about what do I believe about this thing? That the best prospects don't want a call. They just want the data. This is my frustration. This is the fix. This is my fees. Okay, that makes sense to me. I'll join. And then what's the plan? What are we going to do on the what are we going to do together? First we'll build your offer, then we'll turn it into a doc, and then we'll drive some demand and create a simple campaign with a deadline. So I've built some muscle memory around this, and for me it's easy and it's a fun thing that I do once a week. But if you're just getting started, a little bit of help sometimes comes in handy. And so we built for our clients a Campaign Architect. It's a simple GPT that you just give it what are we selling? Is it a workshop? Is it a product? Is it an event? Is it a what? And then it just asks you some questions and you just like voice record your answers around the pains and problems, the proof, philosophy, your plan. It prompts you. And at the end, it spits out, hey, here's your campaign plan. Day 1, these are some options for you. I like this one. Day 2, these ones are great. Day 3, this one's great. And it just makes the whole thing super, super easy. So you're not starting from scratch. Blank pages are hard. I find it easy to respond to something than it is to create often. And so if that's useful for you, there'll be a link in the description below. You can grab the GPT. It's called the Campaign Architect. It'll make life easy. So whether you do it on paper, like I do, or with the help of our little robot friend, thank you, Campaign Architect, I appreciate you. You're going to have all of the ideas ready to go. And then I just map them to the days of the week. Remember, we usually open on a Monday. We usually close on a Friday. You can do it in any days that make sense for you. We just sketch out which ideas are going to go on which day. Now, what I'd love to do is show you an actual real campaign so you can see what it looks like in practice. I usually start with email because I can hammer it out fast. And then I learned that an email is an Instagram reel, a short form piece of content, is a carousel, is an ad. And I'll show you how to mutate them in a minute. But first, let's have a look at some actual emails from a campaign. I'm going to show you in the vault. Looks like this. This is where our emails live. And they're kind of ordered by campaign. This was the week I was just telling you about for Salesless. When we opened up Black Belt. So if you look here, it was from the 21st to the 26th, 21, 22, 23, 6 days, I guess. That makes sense. 6 days. And these are the emails. So it starts with, next month, I'm kicking off a case study to help coach yourself without sales calls. If you look like this, it could be a great fit. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to create your offer doc, set up your weekly campaigns, grow your audience, build demand. Click the link. And so that's the open, hey, doing this thing, would you like to join us? Next up, a pain email. I won't show you all the emails, but you'll get the idea. This is a pain or a problem email. It's about a great client called Marty. They sign 60 clients a month. They're doing amazingly well. But when we walked through Salesless, he kept looking at this sales funnel and realizing that every step in his sales pipeline was a place where people didn't do the thing they were supposed to do, and it was a leak. And so he just kept looking at this. I had the actual numbers were 2,000 new leads a month, 500 people booked a call, 200 got on a sales call, 60 joined, really, really good. But Marty kept thinking about the 1,800 people who never even saw the offer. And so that was the pain I was twisting the knife on right there. We just created a cash campaign, turned Monday into Friday into a month's worth of money. It's really, really fun, but we've only talked about email. I guarantee there's some people on social that would love to join your stuff if only we could reach them. And there's some people who aren't in your audience yet you'd love to reach with ads. And so I want to show you how to turn the emails we just created into all of the ads, the socials that we're going to need to run this campaign and make it really successful. To do that, rather than having to make new stuff, what I like to do is to mutate my marketing from one thing into another. Just like if you have ice and you let it thaw out, it melts into water. And if we heat it up, it turns into steam. It's kind of one element that's been turned into 3 different pieces. That's how I like to think about it. We're going to mutate our marketing. I got to be honest with you, I hate it when people get lazy and they make the AI create the content for them. I freaking hate that. Dude, I'm here to follow you and get your thoughts and your ideas and your opinions. And if you just go, write me something interesting that makes me sound like a thought leader about blank and let the robot do it, I don't need you anymore. That doesn't mean I don't use AI. I use it a lot, but I mostly use it for brainstorming and then for mutating my content from one form into another. So those emails that we talked about before, I take those emails and I bang them into a GPT that we built that turns an email into a carousel and an email into an Instagram reel. I've already done the thinking. It's captured my voice, my essence, my everything. And now I'm just like heating up, melting an ice cube and letting the robot to do that. Is that cool? So let me show you an example. So one of the emails was about the story of how Salesless came about, how we locked our sales team in the cupboard for 3 months on full pay, just to see if we could sell as well as them without them. In other words, if marketing worked harder, would sales be even necessary? Turns out it wasn't. So we took the email, fed it through my GPT robot, and it gave me an outline. It was like 80% good. I made some tweaks and it ended up kind of looking like this. I like to sketch them, but it doesn't have to be hand-drawn. It looks different, but it's more work. I locked our 9-person sales team in the cupboard because the marketing wasn't working. The poor people in sales had to work every lead to death, DMs and chasing and da-da-da. Even that didn't work. We were spending like 30 to 60 grand a month on ads and sales didn't even go up. What we did was we replaced sales with good marketing. How? 3 things that started with D, and I talk about the doc. This is just straight out of the email, right? Creating demand, a weekly deadline. When you just match the sales team's number, we beat them, we doubled them, we tripled them. Now we sign a new client. At the time it says every 24 hours, it's every 19 hours now. But that's not the best part. and it's about sales lists. So what we did was we took an email and we converted it into a carousel. The email that had been turned into a carousel, we turned it into an Instagram reel, and it looked like this. This is a crazy experiment. I can't believe it worked. I locked our whole sales team, 9 people, in a cupboard for 3 months on full pay, and they were forbidden. No sales calls. Don't even try to book a sales call. Don't DM up. Don't talk to anybody. I just wanted to see if good marketing could match the sales team's numbers. So here's what happened. At the time, we were super sales heavy. You get the idea. An email can get mutated into a carousel, can get mutated into a reel. And then the ad strategy is super simple. We're not shooting a bunch of fancy ads. We just take the reels that I just showed you and the carousels, and we run ads to them. On a carousel, we boost it. If it's a reel, we run engagement ads through Meta. The cost per lead is tiny because we take what's already worked organic and we amplify it with ads. We used to spend like 50 or 60 grand a month on ads. At the moment we spend like 4, and we've tripled our sales. So I used to laugh at all the people who ran launches because it was so crazy stressful. If it didn't work, they're in a hole for like months until the next opportunity. And if it did work, they'd choke on all the new clients. Like, have you ever seen like those nature documentaries where a snake eats like a pig or something? It's like got this massive indigestion. It's like, it takes a while to digest the new clients. I used to hate that model, so I always went Evergreen. And I liked it because my shop was always open. The downside was the leads would kind of trickle in. There wasn't enough urgency, enough demand. And so we fixed that by running the offer cycle. Every single week, a new offer, and it's a simple campaign that just works. How do we do it? Well, it's really simple. We do a cash campaign. Opens Monday, closes Friday, pain, proof, philosophy, plan in between, and that's the deal. And then to make it super easy, we just mutate the marketing. We create the emails, turns into carousels, turns into reels, turns into ads, and the whole thing works amazing. To the point where now we make a month's worth of sales in a week, 4 times a month. So now you've heard this. I'd love you to have a go at this. I'd love you to do your first one. That Campaign Architect GPT is going to help you design out your first one. Just pick your main product. Don't launch anything fancy. Don't launch anything new. Pick your main product and go, what part of that am I interested about? What part about that do my prospects most need? And that can be your theme for the week. Then run the architect. It's going to map out your next week's campaign. You're going to do really, really well. So you didn't know it, but I just walked you through a tiny piece, the email side, the weekly campaign of our one-page growth plan. It shows you how to attract leads, convert them into clients, and deliver results at scale. If you want to know what the whole system looks like, how to do it step by step by step, and see a bunch of like real world examples of people implementing the various pieces, there's a link in the description below for a training video I did called the $1 Million Plan. Super helpful, very hands-on, very detailed. If you'd like to nerd out on how to grow a coaching business, I think it's just the thing. I'll see you there. Bye.